This is the Lake of the Breeze. I'm Chris. Sabrina's dropping her boy to school, face to face, of course. Good morning on you. Good morning, Jay.
Good morning.
Let's set into the KWM News Zoom room where we have the newly, I don't know if he's well, he's appointed, yeah, but he's still got to get approved by the legislature, right? As the new executive director of the Ethics Commission. We have Mr. Jesse John Quenga in the KUAM News Link Zoom room. Good morning, Jesse.
Hey, good morning, Chris. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. You know, for a minute there when I was listening to your music, I said, does Chris know I'm from Agate? Is this a call out directly to where I'm from? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Jess, we got a lot of Agate music.
Yeah, let me play an Agate song, bro.
We'll set you up.
Thank you.
I mean, just let's start at the beginning. I mean, there were, I think, 4 applicants for the position of Ethics Commission Executive Director. But what made you want to apply and serve in this capacity?
No, absolutely. I think there's a lot of positive energy behind the work of the commission. There's an obvious call by our community to want to have a more transparent and accountable government. And so just my career, my educational background has always been about how do we provide for a better government of Guam, a more honest and transparent government. And I thought that this was probably ground zero to get that done, and something that I was most interested in, at least seeing where that might go and whether or not I might be selected. And I was fortunate to get the news. I was really excited that I was selected and that we have this opportunity to get it up and running and available for the people of Guam.
I've kind of been talking about this for a minute, but I think what's going to be key to this position and key to this commission's ability to thoroughly investigate and act on the complaints it receives is impartiality and independence. That being said, do you believe that you are impartial and independent enough to head this commission?
No, absolutely. I think in terms of the duties and responsibilities of the director, it's obviously a candidate that you would want the community to feel comfortable kind of going to and saying, hey, you know, I have this thing. I'm curious if this might be a complaint or what's the process like. And so I thought I was able to articulate that well with the commission itself in their selection of me. And then even before my capacity, which I'm at currently at the University of Guam, I mean, we're seen as the independent guru. I mean, you and I worked together when we hosted the great debates. And so I thought that was like immense pressure. Obviously, you know, you can't avoid that people are related to others or have, you know, familial connections and whatnot. But I think we did well in that regard and trying to get both camps to agree that we were the best suited organization to host something like that. And we have for 20 years.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think some of the biggest challenges facing the government of Guam ethics-wise, Jesse?
Well, one of the first steps that we talked about in the interview, some of the goals that I had laid out was let's try to get everything situated with the commission. And then once we're set up within the government of Guam to work in that universe, then we'd like to get an education campaign going. And this goes beyond the community. I believe our workforce probably needs a reminder of what are the types of behaviors that are allowed, or maybe some things that they might want to reconsider out of that possibility they could be referred for an ethics violation. And so that would be probably goal number 1. So if everyone's made aware and has a better understanding, and then now, you know, the onus is on us as the GovGuam workforce to do a great job with the resources we're given and make sure we earn the people's trust.
Do you believe that any of our laws need to be updated, especially laws regarding conflicts of interest? Maybe with, let me just riddle me this, right? So, just hypothetically speaking, if a certain senator has oversight of a government agency and her mom's sister is married to the director of that agency and her father's brother is a high-level manager of that agency, if the law says that there is no conflict of interest, I think it's kind of common sense that anybody who would look at that situation would probably be like, there's potentially something conflicting there. But yet the law allows it. So do you think there's any loopholes that we kind of need to tighten up on to kind of close these gaps where you have the law saying one thing's okay, but everybody in their right mind and the general public saying, oh, hell no?
You know, you bring up a good point. There's bound to be lots of possible loopholes or areas where conflict might exist. We don't know all the areas, and we probably just need to know that the commission is preparing to address those concerns once they do surface up. Most of the time, you know, things get filed in the books within our Guam code, and it's hard to find someone that knows or has memorized it from cover to cover. But we want to be able to say to the people of Guam that as a commission, we're able to recognize when there might be a violation. If there requires a change of the law, then how do we go about that? And that's obviously going beyond just our response to the community, but how we collaborate to an extent with our lawmakers and Adelut to see that, hey, maybe we want to put in these changes systematically so that people feel a little bit more confident that this is a honest and fair government at Guam.
So if you could just kind of go over what the commission's responsibilities and duties are as per the law that created it. So how much of it is going to be doing things like you just said, looking through laws and finding areas where people are getting away with stuff, or and then how much of it is also entertaining these complaints from the public?
I think our goal is to be able to do it all. You know, how we divide that would depend on sort of the demand that comes into the doors of the commission. So I haven't had a chance yet to get heavily engaged with them yet. The extent of our interaction was simply just the interview and then being informed of my selection. But I imagine there's going to be some kind of sit down, probably some strategic planning about what are those functions. The law outlines them, to specifically answer your question, a variety of responsibilities that we would have to account for. I mean, one of the things that is important to us is this ethics in government course. This is in the books. It's required that all government and elected appointed officials have to go through this ethics course. It covers about 8 topics, spans 4 hours, and covers everything from procurement, contracting, gifts, whether we accept gifts or don't accept gifts, open government law, the FOIA, Sunshine Act. So it runs the whole gamut. So that's one aspect, as well as financial reporting. We have found out that financial reporting of officials is done with the Election Commission, but it's really the onus of the Ethics Commission to collect those files and investigate whether those forms have been properly filled out, or whether or not, you know, someone's not reporting correctly, and then we take action following that. You know, how do we respond to something of that concern? So there's been some discussion, but there hasn't been a whole lot of it. I think it will happen as soon as we get off the ground and start to move in that direction before we can actually say, all right, everyone, you know, people of Guam, we're ready for you. The doors are open. Please come and see us, and we can help assist with, you know, your particular concerns.
I just want to go back to the impartiality and independence for the Ethics Commission and your role as the executive director. How important is it, or how important do you think it is for the body and yourself to kind of maintain an arm's length relationship from senators, from the governor's office, you know?
You know, in particular, obviously with the elected officials, we want to be able to say that things that come towards the Ethics Commission will be held in a fair and accountable way. I think when we look at just the announcement of the selection of the executive director, I was really glad to see that it was the Ethics Commission itself that had made that response to say, hey, you know, here's our selection. We've identified Jesse Quenga as the new director. I mean, that in itself is a testament that there's an onus for us to want to be responsible within our own right, that autonomy, without having, say, you know, the governor's office to say, we're appointing this person, despite, you know, that having to be the practice.
Good points. So you have any personal goals here for this a new professional role that you have, Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely. I articulated that in the interview. I, you know, laid the year ahead and sort of the different quarters, the 3 months that we would expect certain activities would get done. The real excitement lies with that working connection with the commission itself and trying to set up what we hope to accomplish on day one to day 365 and beyond. And then also working with the community. I'd love to see the community feeling at ease or even confident that they can go to us with something like a concern about a government employee or even an elected official. I have to say, Chris, you and Bree, you've done a great job in fostering that sense of community, in talking about these things openly. And we're hoping to capitalize that so that our community can then take those concerns and then come forward towards our commission so that we can address it.
Right. So you did say one of the big things you want to take care of is the entertaining these complaints. When we talked to Shannon Murphy, she said mid-year could maybe be the soonest that the public could submit complaints, and you guys fully stood up and able to investigate and look into that. Is that accurate, Jesse? Is that something that you maybe want to speed up, or?
It's a goal, and I imagine that Chairwoman Murphy's probably listening right now.
Yeah.
And if this was Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I'd probably phone a friend and ask her to dial in to make sure I don't say anything wrong. But no, we talked about it, and that is the goal. And I know once I am there on day one, I'm going to hit the ground running. We want to make sure that we have everything in place before, though, we can start to accept complaints. I mean, for us, our biggest concern is when complaints start to come in, that our process is fully vetted so that we understand those complaints are going to be accountable from the time they enter our office and transparent all the way until they leave with a decision by the commission. If we don't have that in place, it will present a great challenge, not just to us, but the community. I mean, the frustration will be even greater if we fail even in that first step. So we're going to put a lot of emphasis. There's a great importance for the commission and myself to have those steps ready, to talk about our standard operating procedures, and to have that done for our community.
Jesse, last question. We weren't sure about the office location. Have you guys been able to nail down a home, or are we going to set up shop in the parking lot somewhere?
If we must, we're going to set up shop in some parking lot, possibly one of those areas identified by GPD for safe exchange. We'll take advantage of their initiative, right?
Hey.
But no, there is an initiative to have a physical space so that persons can have identified location that they can visit and talk to someone face to face. It's going to take some time for us to get around the procurement system and to identify that, but know that we look to you as a great partner, and once we have that established, then we'll be calling to say, hey, great news, the commission has now identified its location. You can visit us to hear your complaints or to talk about ways that we can address or support you. And we also want to tell the community, other than having complaints, if you also have suggestions or recommendations for what you believe this should look like, or ways that we can be a little bit more transparent or accountable, I mean, that's an open call. We should be the gold standard for the government of Guam, and in order to do that, we should be open and allow for our community to visit us freely.
Thank you, Jesse, and congratulations. Yeah, we want to help, so let us know anyway if you need to get the word out about anything. Don't hesitate to call.
Of course, and thank you, Chris. I know earlier you said you didn't have my picture, and so you're going to see me today. I'm thankful you waited and didn't use like B-roll from that time we did that program, The
Yeah.
Apprentice 2. Oh boy. And it's often mistaken. I was joking with my brother. I said, a lot of people come up to me and goes, I remember you. You were on the Guamazing race. And I laugh a bit because I'm like, close. But I think if we were on the Guamazing race, we'd probably be out on leg 1 for sure. So The Apprentice was a fun opportunity. And you guys got to bring that back, man, with KUM.
Good call. We'll sign you up.
I'm good. I'll be busy.
Right.
I'll be plenty busy.
Plenty
but thank
busy.
you, Chris.
Okay, Jesse. Take it easy, my friend.
You too. Take care.
There
Have a
you
good
go.
day.
Hey, that's the new executive director. Well, he's got to get approved by the legislature and all that stuff. Jesse John Quenga, the Ethics Commission executive director at 7:03. Yeah, and what I was alluding to earlier is involves Senator Talina Nelson, and it's something I'd put out on my social media, but I guess her mom's sister is married to the port GM, Roy Respicio, and then her dad's brother's like a high-level manager at the port. And, I kind of raised the point that, does that mean that she's conflicted to carry out her duties as an oversight chair? And I'm just posing the question, guys. I have a lot of respect for Senator Talina Nelson. But I do think that in my personal situation, if my mom's sister is married to someone, you're not really going to see me kind of telling my mom's sister's husband what to do and all that. And again, I'm not saying that she can't be an effective oversight chair. I'm just saying that given everything that happened in the last term with these senators and just the cavalcade, the cornucopia, if you will, of conflicts of interest, I just think that we need to set the bar higher. We just need to set the bar higher because we saw so many things from Senator Amanda Shelton and doing sweetheart deals for her brother in the University of Guam. I just think, is it a crime to ask for better? Instead of hearing these excuses that, oh, it's allowed by the law. Well, who do you think writes the laws? The politicians write the laws. So, it's the same thing with this hiring people into the government of Guam who've been convicted of official misconduct. When you are convicted of official misconduct as a government employee, that basically means, baseline, you can't be trusted. It is what it is. There's a private sector. We're not trying to throw anyone away. I'm just trying to say that we need to have a standard because we don't have these standards, and look what it's getting us. And so, yeah, I asked Senator Nelson's office for a statement on this, but I'm feeling like if it's allowed by the law, then they're just going to say it's allowed by the law. But obviously, come on, really? I believe it's an obvious conflict. And I'm just kind of disappointed in Senator Nelson because she had a hearing at the port with the port, and I feel like she should have disclosed her relationships with these individuals, and that way the public can decide if we're confident in the senator's ability to remain an impartial and independent oversight of the Port Authority of Guam. It's kind of, again, basic, like I said, we've seen just a lot of conflicts of interest, and we've also seen how the relationship of a brother-in-law has just caused so much emotional response, and that's why these laws about nepotism and ethics are supposed to be in place so that we avoid situations like this, because we all know how it is with family. Family, it's like you want to defend them, and you're going to defend them at all costs. But once you enter the realm of public service and you're, somebody who's paid with the public dime, then we're kind of responsible for looking out for that. You're kind of in a position where you are going to be held accountable. And we are totally within our rights to do that as the public. Not even me as the media, but the average Joe Cruz out there, the average Josefa Cruz, has the right to complain about people getting hired, about salaries of the government. And I think that's the one thing that this administration and even some of these senators cannot grasp. It's a basic tenet of democracy. And I just think that, yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And when you put yourself in a situation where people are going to question things, then at the end of the day, if you're being paid with public funds, that's just something you have to deal with. It's 7:08.